Hey everybody, welcome to DadsDen of Pop Culture. 4th of July show here, and a look at Captain America's Bicentennial Battles, which obviously was released originally in 1976, the year of the bicentennial. Everything was bicentennial that year. It was huge. But this is sort of a facsimile edition, but it's really more like a reprint. Because if you look, you'll see you have a spine on this thing. So it's a little bit upgraded, which is good in one way and bad in another. This thing doesn't really open up and lay flat like most of the kind of comic stuff I like to record in this way. So we'll see how it works out. But I thought it would be a very appropriate day to look at this. So let's crack it open here. Captain America's Bicentennial Battles. We have a couple, and there's the original cover, Marvel Comics Special Edition with Cap in there. And we see over here the writer, penciler Jack Kirby, inkers Barry Windsor-Smith, Herb Trimpe, and John Romita Sr. with John Verpoorten and Dan Adkins. Colorist Phil Rachelson. Letters John Costanza. Editor Jack Kirby. Front cover artists Jack Kirby and Frank Giacoia. And the back cover artists Jack Kirby and John Romita Sr. and Dean White. Now you see a whole lot of Jack Kirby in here. This is really Jack Kirby's baby. And what it really is Jack Kirby sort of giving his ideas about what America is. And it's really a very interesting take. So this is not just it's not just a collection of Captain America stories from over the years. This is, nowadays we'd probably just call it a graphic novel. History is people. It is people that share the image of a nation. The years and events that fill the record of the past are only a pale reflection of the motives which moved Americans from our early rustic beginnings to the nervous present, to make our bicentennial canvas a mural of awesome power. In this Treasury special, who but Captain America is qualified to ride the range of 2 centuries in search of those who lived, those who are here, and Americans yet to come. He will make the journey, but not without the help of Mr. Buddha. Now, Mr. Buddha is sort of, when you get right down to it, he's kind of there to provide the means by which Captain America experiences American history in this thing. It almost could have just as easily been Doctor Strange, but he in particular is trying to give particular insight to Captain America. So he was compelled to come here. Captain America says he doesn't know who this weird guy is. And Cap is pretty ambivalent about him through most of this thing. First, he's just sitting there seemingly ignoring him. Then his astral form shows up and comes in, introduces himself, and Cap is kind of like, yeah, I don't have time for this. He's got a speech that he has to go make for like a bicentennial parade. But as he's leaving, he wanders into essentially kind of another dimension, a hidden fold of the universe, you might say. And where he finds himself is back in World War II. A guard, and he sees some figures attacking somebody wearing blue and red that looks pretty familiar. Speak! Where is your verdammt partner? Oh my God. And in fact, it is Adolf Hitler and some of his Nazi creeps. They've got Bucky. The Red Skull is back here. Looks like the Red Skull is going to get the jump on Cap, but Cap knows if Hitler's there, that means the Skull isn't far behind. So he takes the Skull out. We have a great fight. And again, it's a nice reprint, big, bold colors, which I love. And it's just Jack Kirby action. Here we see him smashing Hitler's face into this guy's face. Crunch. No more than he deserved. He gets Bucky free. More soldiers show up. Look at that. Then jumping out this window, bullets flying past them. But as they're escaping, Bucky gets further and further ahead of him, and Bucky, where are you? Bucky! And he goes through another sort of portal back to Mr. Buddha. And so he's not real thrilled with this whole experience exactly, but on the other hand, as Mr. Buddha tells him, well, it wasn't all bad, right? And Cap answers, I must admit that most of it held the excitement of reliving moments I'll never forget. It was great to again work with Bucky as a team. Then this Bucky is the void in your present existence. Most interesting. Jack Kirby just had a way. He just had a way about things. Well, at any rate, he shakes hands with Mr. Buddha. Now, what he doesn't know is this has put a psychic talisman on Cap that is going to send him through other adventures, again, somewhat against his will. We see him saying here, alas, I knew he would say that. Thus I was forced to act in his behalf. A man of action must also be a man of wisdom. So one of the things you are getting in this book is, well, I mean, kind of Jack Kirby's philosophy on things. Look at this. As he sees on the wall a moving mural, looks like the Civil War. And he's like, oh no, it's happening again. I got to get out of here. He rushes outside. And that was a close call. I'd better put some mileage between Mr. Buddha and myself. His influence is too strong in these parts. I'll hail a cab right now. But it's a real treat. This is 70s Kirby. You know, it was, again, more stylized, but he wrote some really spectacular stuff. So he gets into this cab, and as he's traveling in it, it becomes a coach. And he finds himself in colonial America, where he meets with Benjamin Franklin. And so this is kind of interesting. Franklin introduces him to a woman named Betsy. You can kind of imagine. And, of course, this is Betsy Ross, who is inspired by his costume to design, well, and Ben Franklin, too, design the American flag. And this freaks Captain America out. Oh no, the first American flag copied from the very thought of what has happened staggers Cap. He bolts from the shop. Gad, sir, it isn't possible. It just isn't possible. I've been ripped off by Benjamin Franklin. Odds blood, the man is possessed by demons. I just love the way Kirby jumped into updated slang as he went. I mean, I think more inspired rather than ripped off would be right. So he just wants to get out of that place, and he soon finds himself in a different place. We see a poster back here, Clark Gable and Joan Crawford. He is now in the Depression era. So, of course, Cap sort of comes somewhat from that era. He would have maybe been a younger kid at that point. We got a newsboy, makes you think of Jack Kirby's Newsboy Legion. So the newsboy goes to sell a paper to these hoods who smash him kind of in the face, and it's like, yeah, you ain't getting a nickel from us. Well, Cap doesn't dig that. Pay the boy, you fink. He grabs the dude and pulls him out of the car, and he takes the door with him. This is comic books, folks. Jack Kirby knows his stuff. A fusillade of shots follows almost immediately. Only Cap's shield saves him and the boy. You're stupid, Muscles, but you got guts. Of course, I said that like he was an adult, not a kid. But at any rate, a cop shows up as they roar off. And this is when he notices he's got this symbol on his glove. The mark planted by Mr. Buddha is activating. Looks like I'm due for another trip to somewhere. When I get to be a big shot artist, I'm going to plaster Lefty's ugly mug all over the comic pages. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Is that Jack Kirby? Oh my goodness sakes. Jack Kirby was inspired by actually meeting Captain America. I love that. So he finds himself in the American Southwest. And here, in My Fellow Americans, we're going to get some thoughts on, well, Native Americans and what they've gone through. He meets Geronimo here. Again, there's some really amazing art. The Native Americans go after him. You know, I don't like being shackled, men. He breaks free. He must be stopped. But Geronimo's like, no, we want to question this man. And we hear him here. I've told you, Geronimo, I'm a man who seeks the rule of peace. And Geronimo says, you fight well for one who speaks of peace, but you are no trooper, I can see that. You mystify me, for in your face I see the great spirit which binds all men. The great spirit is in my heart. So, good meeting between these two. And this is Kirby kind of talking about what he would like for America is the bringing of people together under shared values. But throughout, he acknowledges the difficulties for that. Here we see the troopers coming after Geronimo and his men, you know, and obviously shooting, and Captain America tries to stop him. By the way, is this a freaking comic page or what? I mean, look at this. This is absolutely amazing. Now, the first section that we read was inked by Barry Windsor-Smith. This is by Herb Trimpe. So there is a slight difference to the look, but of course it's still Kirby, and so it still has Kirby's look. Stop! Listen to me. So he's trying to stop that from happening. And then here's another look at that. Oh, dude, only Kirby could do this kind of stuff and quite do it right. I mean, really. I mean, anybody, other people could do it, but to do so, they have to base it on Kirby. I mean, he just had a particular graphic sense at this point in time. So the Mystic Mark now transports him to a mine where there's been a cave-in. So this is sort of more like the concept of, you know, the working man and what they go through. Captain America manages to get them out of it by pushing his way through the stone, through the wood timbers, etc. And they find a way out and escape, but he vanishes. The next section, stop here for glory. Let me fly where eagles fly. Let me die where heroes die. Let valor write in skies of strife a meaning to the end of life. It is a day when the first knights of air appear in the chronicles of modern combat. It is the very moment that Captain America finds himself thrust into a romance with death. The next step in his journey is taken. Jumping fireballs, I'm in the soup again. So all of a sudden he finds himself in this World War I fighter plane being shot at. We see some guys on the ground taking shots at the German. Cap makes this amazing move between these trees that probably isn't exactly possible. The German crashes, but Cap turns about, his eyes open wide with horror. Yeah! And he crashes into a blimp and falls back into the presence of Mr. Buddha. I'm weary of this game of yours, Buddha. You've thrown me into one mad situation after another. If America is people, must I live the lives of all of them? Put a stop to this time trip. How little do you seem to have gained from such valuable experience? Did you really expect the march of this great nation to be a form of mock pageantry? Words, Buddha. More words. All I want from you is the removal of this mystic sign, from my palm. No need for that. The talisman will vanish by itself. When it has done its work. It's done enough. Remove it now. So, the great superhero is uncomfortable with the sharing of human events. You want to lead a parade and smile to the crowds. You think this kind of thing is the total sum of your country? Is this the shallow facade that is Captain America? And Cap's not real happy with that. And to be honest, that's not a real fair look at what Captain America has done in his life. But he's also bringing up, this is Jack Kirby as well bringing up, for a lot of people, well, you know, what is Memorial Day? It's a furniture sale. What is the 4th of July? It's an excuse to eat, you know, barbecue and set off explosions, you know, and people like all the pomp and they like the parades, but it's like, but you also need to look at the lives that went into America. You need to also look at maybe some of the things we didn't do so great. You need to see the sum total of things. Well, Cap now appears with this dude behind him. And I like what he says here. Turbulence, tragedy. No history is made without them. True, but we'd be a nation of manic depressives if that's all there was. There's more to it, Buddha. Things that help us to muddle through, things to laugh about, to shout about. Okay, so we're going to get another look at America. Again, not all positive, but I like that what Kirby's really doing is just, it's not just about symbols. It's about lives. A lot of people with different values and different ideas and different things they want that make up American history. So Cap finds himself in combat with the great John L. Sullivan. You got the crowd here yelling, and takes a couple punches from Cap, and Cap finally is like, all right, I've got to end it. This has got to do it. Pow! And that does it. John L. Sullivan goes down, but at that point the police arrive. Cap is trying to get Sullivan out of there, but suddenly Cap finds himself with a gun to his head. And rather than helping John L. Sullivan, he's helping an escaped slave. And these are bounty hunters coming after him. Now, at this point, they're in a free state. And Cap is saying, you've no right to take this man. If this is free territory, then you're the trespassers. Besides, if he's come this far, he should be given the chance to go on. You bounty hunters may run into trouble getting him across the state line. Well, they're not real impressed with this guy in the weird costume. Just the art in this thing is just lovely. It's really great. So Cap finds himself in a tight spot, but a farmer shows up and says, slavers doing their dirty work right near our farm. Paul'll have a fit if I don't do something about it. I don't aim to kill anybody, but a well-placed shot should give that slave a chance. So, pow, hits the gun. That's a hell of a good shot. And what do we hear from Cap? Hit him, my friend. Hit him. What? Say no more. And so Cap and the escaped slave, with a little help from that farm boy, managed to take these guys out. Look at that. Look at that punch. You got to love that. And also, I wonder what Paul's going to say about them busting our fence like that. So the slave grabs a gun and some ammunition to get out of there. And we hear Cap say, one day things will be different. You'll both learn to talk instead of fight. So again, that's something that Kirby really pushing the idea of, despite our turbulent history, we need to take each other as individuals, and we need to do more talking than fighting. We need to come together because it's the only way we're going to survive. Well, Cap takes off on the horse and soon finds himself, back in, it looks like the modern day. Hogan, there's a man out there. Hogan? No, I don't think it's Colonel Plank. So these guys find Captain America. Of course, they know who he is. They get him into this Jeep. They drive on out of there, and, this is where they're about to have an atomic test. All right, you want some Jack Kirby art? Are you ready for some more Jack Kirby art? The vast desert seems frozen in time. Nothing seems to move. The only sound that reaches Cap's ears is that of his own heartbeat. Then, ready for countdown, 10, 9, 8... Ooh, look at there. There's an atomic blast for you. And so we see them observing with those things on. The light comes first, the flame growing, rising like an immense sun toward the heavens. Then the shockwaves race across the endless miles before the roll of thunder assaults the ears. Then, detaching itself from its huge pillar of smoke, the giant fireball vanishes into the stratosphere, and the maddening problem of the atomic bomb is thrown into the lap of all mankind. So that looks to be maybe the first atomic test the Cap has now witnessed. And you notice it's not judgment here, but it's saying, look, the maddening problem of the atomic bomb. It is a maddening problem. It is to this day, as we well know. But Cap finds himself suddenly in another fire, not a nuclear fire, but in fact, the Chicago fire. Another great page. We call it a splash page. It is a bad night for the city of Chicago in 1871. And so Cap immediately goes in and starts saving people, because that is what Captain America is all about. We see him helping this woman with her load as the crowd moves away from the fires. And then he sees a hand, somebody, save me, I can't swim, jumps immediately in. But as he goes down, he goes through another one of those time shifts. And we're not exactly sure where he ends up, although I wonder if his little battle here with a shark, Zomp, has to do with Jaws. Was Jaws? Let's see. Well, this year is the 50th anniversary. 2025. 75. Yeah, it probably was. So he gets away from the shark, but he's unconscious. These scuba divers pull him down into this facility. So this makes me think that this is somewhat in the future, because we obviously didn't have this in 1976. Where is he? Well, these are men doing research on the continental shelf into, feeding the population. Remember, this is the time of the belief that there was a population bomb, that we were going to, run out of space on Earth. You remember there was the Star Trek episode about that. You have Soylent Green, etc. That was very much on people's minds at the time. But he only is there for a little while, and then he finds himself back in the presence of Mr. Buddha. Of course, little of trans yoga and the mental benefits one derives from its proper application of physical positioning. Your attempt at humor indicates an adjustment to your own situation. I'd find it easier to adjust to hanging, Buddha. I'm looking forward to the end of this trip. The America I've seen is the America I've always known. Well, he's got a few more places to go, though. And this time it is going to be the future. And he finds himself on the moon, the face of the future. And what does he find? Warfare on the moon. And it's kind of a moment for Kirby. And again, there's some really stunning art here. Look at the color. It's something that, I think more modern colorists need to really pay attention to how they used color in old books. It wasn't as complex, but again, this is not necessarily realistic, but look how it sets off the image, and look at that one right there. That's a great image too. But it's kind of Kirby saying, look, we'll let Cap say it. Buddha's talisman has taken me to the future. It doesn't matter what the date is. Men are fighting on the moon. My guess is that Americans are involved since he's there. He finds a wrecked moon vehicle, looks in, and this is a nice sequence. As he's looking in, it sort of pulls back, and you see the spiral there. And then it comes back in, and now he finds himself looking at a movie camera. How did he get on the set? And so we find him, on a movie set, and somebody grabs him. Oh, he's going to be perfect. He's going to be perfect for the end of this movie I'm working on. And here we get the big pomp, the big parade, the big musical number with all the dancing girls, etc. The Statue of Liberty up there. Cap is kind of like, what in the heck is going on? And he finally, I'm not going on with this. It's got to stop right now. I said stop. What's he up to? He's ruining the scene. The guy's going nuts. He's a raving nut. Hold it. I said cut. Buddha, if you can hear me, show yourself. I know you can reach me if you want to. It was you who spoke of America and the truth at the heart of it. I've still got to see it, Buddha. This is just, what a great image as the lights go out. This new spotlight. And there's Mr. Buddha. Again, don't pussyfoot around the issue, you weasel. You know what I mean. Where is the truth? Where is the essence that makes all Americans stand up as one, no matter what their lot may be? Ah, now you are truly at the heart of the matter, sir. Your trip has helped you after all. It has made you think. And you do get the feeling that this is Kirby sort of himself kind of thinking through what America means to him, what it means to other people, and what he believes in. And we notice that the mystic talisman is starting to fade. So the journey is almost over. And they find themselves for a moment in this peaceful place, listening to folk music. Genuine folk music in a peaceful countryside, Buddha. That's America too. I could stay here forever. It is the inner wish of a weary man, but not the truth. Don't razzle-dazzle me. Life isn't all trial and tribulation. The sense of peace is what every American seeks. We struggle to achieve it and keep it. To keep it is not possible. To enjoy it as often as you can is a prize unequaled. Besides, it is time to leave this place. And where do they find themselves? We're looking in at a kid studying, trying to get himself into school, trying to better himself. And then all these kids, so he's back in modern times, and all these kids see him. They're out playing. They see Captain America. Yep, I'm the real thing, you know. They're all talking, and one of them says, you know, we could become superheroes. And, don't be a nut. And Cap says, he's not a nut. You never can tell how things turn out on the road to growing up. What do you think, friend? It could happen. We could become a team of superheroes. We could be anything, Captain America. Girls, too. Well, I'm not so sure about that. I'm just joking. And so we get this great tableau of Cap with all these different kids from different walks of life talking about what they want to be or saying on the we go. Now that kid has a fashion sense, let me tell you, and a Thor haircut as well. But they're all talking about maybe what they'll want to become. Some of them are saying, I don't know what I want to be, but it's going to be fun finding out, etc. 200 years of old thoughts in young minds. 200 years of seeing it through. It is the way of a great country and a great people who stand together against the slings and arrows of a threatening tomorrow. And this is what Kirby hopes for America. And then we get a little pin up here. We see Captain America if he was from the colonial times. So why couldn't the Red Skull have turned up as a Hessian Nazi? He doesn't look that happy in his little hat there. We get Captain America in the Old West. Some of these images have shown up here and there. Mighty Marvel was here. That's Cap on the moon in a Captain America spacesuit. By the way, these would actually be... I was thinking when I was reading this, I'd love it if they would do like a line of action figures specifically based on the Kirby style with some of the Kirby, characters, trying to get that, that feel. Any rate, and that'd be a great variant. And so we get this little, thing here about Captain America and his secret identity of Steve Rogers. You would ignore the fabulous Dr. Doom for him? Who's he? Ja, who is that nobody? Sacre bleu, Batroc would not waste a keek on this one. He looks like a Joe College to me. We'd never allow that type to join Hydra. Oh, man. And here's happy 200th birthday to America. Hey, you folks do realize, right, that the 250th birthday is just around the corner. And what the other cool thing, now, so this is obviously, like I said, not exactly a facsimile. It's a reprint with some extras. And one of those is the Mighty Marvel Bicentennial Calendar, 1976, cover art by John Romita Sr. And you actually do get to see every page of that calendar with the Marvel birthdays on them. There's the Hulk at Valley Forge. Great. The Black Panther. I wonder if that's like, well, no, that looks like the Caribbean. But it's Americans going ashore on a boat. Oh, here we go. Assault on the British Outpost at New Providence Island, the Bahamas, by Bob Brown and Mike Esposito. And here we have Hulk, Valley Forge by Herb Trimpe. That's February. April, we have Conan and the Minutemen of Lexington and Concord at the battle that began the Revolutionary War by Gil Kane. We have May, Thor and Ben Franklin experimenting with electricity by John Buscema and Frank Giacoia. Very nice. June art featuring Spider-Man helping defend Fort Garrison from the British Navy by Ross Andru and Mike Esposito. July art featuring Captain America and the Declaration of Independence by John Romita Sr. Very nice. Very nice indeed. August, we got the Fantastic Four and the Continental Army preparing to evacuate New York via what is today known as Fulton Landing, Brooklyn by Joe Sinnott. September art featuring a host of Marvel heroes. So who do we got up there? We got Shang-Chi, we got Son of Satan, we got Black Widow, we got Daredevil, we got Doctor Strange, Power Man, and Ghost Rider. And the Revolutionary War era American flag by Sal Buscema. get this page turned. October, Marvel's horror anti-heroes scaring Ichabod Crane's head off by Frank Brunner. It looks like we got Drac there, Man-Thing, Werewolf by Night. Very, very cool that they got for October too. Perfect. November art featuring Marvel's Cosmic Heroes and the Andrea, the first foreign vessel to salute the American flag, by Jim Starlin and Alan Weiss. So we got Adam Warlock, Silver Surfer, Captain Marvel. Very cool. And December, the Avengers reenacting George Washington's Crossing of the Delaware River by Jim Mooney. And yeah, that would have been a lot easier with Thor and Iron Man there. For sure, Vision would help too. And we get, I guess, Ben Grimm's Guide to 1976's pulsating pinups with Capricorn. Marvel's on the Move. Here we have an ad for the Bicentennial Battles. And we get some pages without the color. Jack Kirby and Barry Windsor-Smith. Jack Kirby and Barry Windsor-Smith on this one as well. In that first section of the story, we see some of the art that he did with Herb Trimpe. And I'm moving the book around a little bit. Here we have Frank Robbins and Frank Giacoia doing this bit right here. Well, there we go. Happy birthday to the United States of America. Not the bicentennial this year, and not quite the 250th. I'm not exactly sure how we would say that in bicentennial terms, but it is America's birthday, and a great book to enjoy on this day, with some really stunning Kirby art, but more importantly, with Kirby's philosophy about America and its experiences, good and bad, and really the focus being on the individual, which is what America is all about. We're not a collectivist state. We shouldn't be thinking in collectivist terms. We should be thinking about individuals, treating people as individuals, doing our best, being good to one another, though, as well. And that's what Jack Kirby wanted, and I'm all for it, frankly. So that'll do it for Dad's Den of Pop Culture today. Hope you enjoyed this look at this great book by a great talent, very much missed. If you have any thoughts on this one, I'd love to hear it in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Maybe think of subscribing to the channel, sharing with a friend. That would be very groovy. But until next time, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun out there, especially for the 4th of July. But, you know, safe and sane. Safe and sane. We don't want anybody going to the hospital. And I will see you again, hopefully soon, in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye.